first I want to say that when anything that I say about this does not have anything to do with the person, but it's strictly about the position.
Yes.
So,
yes. Very good.
So I want to put that out there first. I agree with the citizens that I feel that he should, or the city manager should live in Huber Heights. They voted that way, and whether or not it's constitutional or not, we don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that should be addressed. We voted back in May, and so it's been almost 6 months now, and nothing has been done with it. And I understand that they want to have a full council, but we've had a couple of times where we've had a full council, and yet nothing has moved forward with that. And I think that it's important for the citizens to be able to know that when council is given a decision that needs to be made, they move forward with it quickly, especially with something like this. 6 months is far too long for a charter amendment that was voted down to be just sitting there stagnant.
Right. Yep. I agree. And hopefully they will resolve this.
Right.
They will resolve it not only for the citizens who voted to keep it into the charter, but they resolve it for the current city manager who's holding the position. And,
right.
It's not good for him. It's not good for the city. Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing that's came up is talk about the TIF districts and things like that. Do you have an opinion on the TIF districts? They're starting to heat up. A lot of communities are using them. Where are you at with that?
I think that TIF districts are a good thing as long as they're used correctly. And I think that it's important that, especially when we come to the end of them, and schools should be able to get their money back, and we shouldn't just roll funds back over. I understand the importance of TIF districts, and I know that there's been some changes in the way that things were done, especially when they first came out versus now. But I don't have a problem with TIF districts. I just think that they should be used properly.
Are you following up with the Brant Pike revitalization? Have you been following up with that?
Absolutely. That to me is one of the most important things. When I first started talking earlier, we were talking about development and bringing in mom and pop shops and stuff like that. And I think that the Brant Pike revitalization is a perfect opportunity for that. If we can, as a city, come together and say, this is what we want. We really want to do this. We really want to move forward. I think that it'll be a great thing. And I think that it'll be a great thing for not only commerce in the city, but for the community itself, because it'll give us a place that's a center that allows us as a community to come together and say, this is our downtown, that kind of thing.
Right. Right. There was something, today is the 10th. This probably won't come out this episode probably won't come out for a while, so we're recording it ahead of time. But what's on the agenda for tomorrow's council meeting is a first reading for the water softening, for the design of the water softening that is not to exceed $1.1 million. A while back, and I don't have the date in front of me, and I think I know what it is, but last time I guessed it's something I was wrong, so it was voted on. The citizens, they want softened water in Huber Heights. They're looking to start transitioning into that. Where do you see yourself, or how do you feel about softened water and about this item that's going to be voted on tomorrow, which will be the 11th?
Yeah, well, I know that that when it was brought up at the work session, they were talking about how this $1.1 million bid was actually a third of the cost of all the other bids. So I do think that it's important to note that we are going with the lowest bid, but not in a bad way, because the company that they're voting on actually has the most experience, and so I think that's also a good thing.
Sure.
But water softening, I've lived in Huber all my life. I know how hard Huber's water is. You take a shower and your water heater starts rumbling, and somebody, if you have a friend over and they're like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Oh, well, that's just hard water. It's just the way that Huber is." And so I think that even though this is not a salt water softening, I think that anything is going to be better than nothing, especially for our infrastructure when it comes to water in general, because, we won't have clogging problems and things like that. It should reduce that. And so I think it's a good thing to move forward with. Yeah,
I do too. I really do. I was thumbing through the agenda for tomorrow, and, it's a first reading, so they may pass it on to a second reading and a third, or,
right.
And understandably. However, sure. I was looking through and I saw the scoring and the company that they chose. You're saying that it's a third cost.
I believe that's what they mentioned. Yeah.
Right. They also were the highest scored. They showed that diagram up there as well. So that's good news too. So it looks like the company, they could pass this tomorrow. And we'll see. So by the time people listen to this podcast, it may have been passed or not. I don't know. But,
yeah.
Anyway, well, we kind of burned through these questions before, and I that's great. Before we end the podcast, is there anything you want to tell the folks out there moving forward here?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I hear a lot, especially, in just conversation, is people a lot of times say to me, "Oh, well, you're a politician now because you're running for city council," and I always chuckle at that because to me, I'm not. I understand that I'm running for a position and and so I'm going to be on a ballot, but to me, I'm just another citizen just like everybody else, and I want to be able to give citizens their ability to vote and know that that the person that's sitting in the seat that I want to occupy, that when they come and talk to me or they call me or they see me out and about, that they can say things to me like really anything, and know that I'm taking it to heart and I'm taking note of it, and that their opinion is my vote. It's not my vote is my ward's vote. It's not anything to do with how I feel strictly, but everything to do with the way that the ward would want me to vote on anything.
Great. So, do you have any upcoming events, or where can the folks see Andy Hill for Ward 4 here?
I am at the farmers market almost every single Saturday that I can be. I will not be there this week because I'm walking in the Air Force 10K because the marathon is far too long for me. But but most Saturdays you can definitely find me at the farmers market. I'm looking into doing some sort of meet and greet times, maybe at the Heights Cafe or the library or something like that. I need to check into that, and that will be forthcoming, and I'll talk about that on my page. Speaking of my page, if you want to check me out and what I'm about and the way that I would like to conduct myself on social media when it comes to being a representative, check out my page. It is Andy Hill for Ward 4, Huber Heights. You just look that up in Facebook, and it's pretty easy to find. But yeah, other than that, I don't have any events specifically other than the Heights Farmers Market for sure, and then I'm going to look into doing some sort of meet and greet later on in the evening, some evenings coming up.
All right, great. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate you doing Inspired and Admired.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you contacting not only me but all of the candidates. It's great for the community to be able to hear from us, but also have a way to do that and not just have to ask for our information on Facebook or something like that,
Yeah, so, thanks.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up episode number 18. I would like to thank Andy Hill for joining me here on Inspired and Admired. I hope you learned a little more about Andy and, about all the candidates that we've had on this program over the past few episodes. Next week, look out for the candidate for the Ward 5 seat, Linda Morin. She will be joining me on the podcast next Wednesday. And stay tuned for the next few Wednesdays when we have the candidates of Huber Heights here for you to learn from or moreover, learn about. And so you're better prepared for November 7th. For the podcast, please follow us on Facebook at Inspired and Admired Podcast. We're on Twitter at True Podcast. You can look us up. You can look all of our podcasts up on Spreaker.com, where actually it's Spreaker.com/show/2357021. That's the direct link. There's a lot of other interesting shows, not just the candidates, that you can check out there. And after we have this series of candidates, we'll get back into that. Different folks here on the podcast to listen to. I really appreciate you joining us today on Inspired and Admired. Please share this podcast with a friend and share it all over Facebook. Anyway, thanks guys. See you next Wednesday.